You're welcome once again to our class for today, and today we are going to continue on front-end project planning. But just to be sure that you can hear me, please, I would like you to indicate by raising up your hand if you can hear me clearly, please. Okay, thank you very much. So in our yesterday's class, which was on Saturday, we learned what front-end project planning is and some steps that we can take in planning of your front-end development project. So we're able to find out that project planning involves key phases of how front-end developers collaborate with designers, plan site architecture, code up fast and responsive interface templates, develop reusable components, implement animation, and optimize for performance across devices. So this is actually what front-end project planning is. It starts with the designer and will at one point include the developer. So we also learned about the steps that we can take to plan our front-end project, and we'll learn about the first one is defining the scope, the breakdown of tasks, the user journey, the sequence of the tasks, then to allocate time, then set the milestones and review and adjust. And one of the key points or the reminder from this slide was you don't have to lie about your experience when you are seeking for a job, because if you say you have more experience, then you're going to be given a more complex task to be completed in a short time. So it's good to be frank so that you can drink water and drop your cup with ease, so I don't work under pressure. So today we are going to consider the following for today's class: designing project wireframe. So what is project wireframe? We are going to learn that in a moment. Why do developers do, or what do developers do with wireframes? We're going to learn that in a moment. Some steps to design a wireframe in case it was not added in the Figma file. So let's begin. So a wireframe is a basic black and white layout that outlines the structure of a web page or an app screen. A wireframe focuses on the site architecture, determines the size and location of page elements, and defines the paths between the pages. So this is an important part of the UI UX design. They use it more often. So that leads to the question: what do developers do with wireframe if it is a very essential tool for the UI designers? Now here is the answer. The wireframe is a solution for developers as well. They use it as a guide to get more into application stroke website functionality and generate quality code. So an experienced developer can deduce most of the page flow and functionalities by studying a Figma design. But if in doubt, you can ask the designer or project manager for clarification. And exactly how does a project wireframe looks like? So let's go to our web browser. So to find out, so let me open my web browser. Just to give you a mental picture. But for a Figma design that was done professionally, you're going to see the wireframe then you're going to see the list of the styles that was used, actually the color, or the list of the colors and the font family. So that will help you in case you're using like SAS, or like you're using like Tailwind, that you want to customize the color. So it will help you at the start to have those things ready. So that is how a professional Figma design will look like before you actually see the main project. But in some cases, as some designers will usually skip that, especially if it's an ongoing project that you're working on. So their plan is that after the project they will fix all those stuff. So in case you have such a project, this is how a wireframe looks like. So I'll type examples of a wireframe. In Figma design. So let's look at that. So let's look at that. So I'll just go to the images because I want just to show you the images. So this is how it looks like. So if I open up this, so in the world of this Figma design, developing a wireframe is usually the first and most important step, and it's usually called the first draft or the low fidelity prototype. So let me zoom in a little. Check this one. So you see how it looks like. It just a box diagram of how the website should look like, the ideas and other stuff. And just as we have explained, it just gives you a bird's eye view of the flow of the website, actually from one page to another, then the functionality and some other stuff. So we are going to come back to this. Okay, so this is how it looks like. So this is just exactly how it looks like. So let me see if I can open it in Figma. If it's a free one, then we'll see exactly how it looks like in Figma. So while we wait for it to load, let's continue. So again, let's review. The wireframe is a solution. So what the developers do with wireframe, the wireframe is a solution for developers as well. They use it as a guide to get more into the application or website functionalities and generate quality code. For example, one way that your page can be a quality code is the user navigation from one page to another with ease, and when it gets to the end of the flow, the user can easily come back to the point where he started that navigation, and some other functionalities like animation and that stuff. Then also optimization and reusable components, so that the website, if it's a big project, can easily be maintained. And just to remind you, your code is also quality if it can be easily be understood by another developer, because there is no guarantee that because you are the one that built the website, that you will be the one that will maintain the website forever. So you might be the website and you might not even get to even host it or even maintain it for up to 5 years. So they will know you as a good developer if another developer can seamlessly understand your code and make what update. In fact, if that developer that came in after you find it very easier to work with your code, if there is another project that he or she wants to work on, he might invite you if you are available. So it is not just for you to write the code, but it's for you to write it in such a way that other developers can also work with it and get the job done. So I've tried to work on a project, and only to understand the code was very, very difficult, or even to even start the project itself was very, very difficult. So you don't want to write such a program that it will take it to make it difficult for other developers to work with. Okay, so we'll now move to the next one. Some steps to design a wireframe in case it was not added in the Figma file. Well, your wireframe doesn't have to be as detailed as this. It doesn't have to be as detailed as this one. And why is that? So because your job is not, you are not a this UI designer, unless you already know it before you started this web development. But this is just like the flow. So you see how the wireframe looks like, and you can move from one screen to another. So this is just a sample of how the wireframe looks like. So this is a mobile view of the wireframe. So this is just a nice example, a nice and simple example. And from this you can look at how the page will display based on different Android sizes or font sizes. So it doesn't have to be as detailed as this. So the first step, you need to develop just a box diagram of what a wireframe should look like, is understand the user flow from page to page. And let's go back to our project, the final the final project, and let's see if we can apply what we are learning now to develop a simple wireframe. So I forgot to open this before we started. That means it's going to take us some time. Okay, so let's just continue, and before we come back, so the first step is understand the user flow from page to page. So you should be able to understand how the user will navigate from one page to another. At no point do you want the user to be lost, and it is for one of those reasons that we make sure that the nav bar is always visible at the top, so that in case the user is lost, the person can always go back to the home or the page that the person entered. Then if it is like a page that the user will click and we don't want the nav bar to show, then there's need for us to have a back button, which can be a text or an icon. So the user flow should be there. Then determine when to remove or inject a CSS to make the work professional. So this can also be the reason, because part of you understanding how the wireframe works or using a wireframe is for you to develop a professional website. So you want to know when you're going to use exactly the CSS that was given to you in Figma, and when you know is it. For example, changing static unit to responsive unit, and you know that an example of the static unit is pixel. So if we know that pixel is so static, so for all screen sizes it will not even attempt to even adjust, but using the rem or view width can be more responsive than this using pixel. So if you are using pixel, that means you have to write a responsiveness for text for the mobile, the desktop, and the tablet. That is, if your project involves that. But if you're using this responsive unit, you must only write it once or twice. Then removing position unit and when to leave it or add it. Now if you're using Figma, you notice that almost everything is positioned in Figma using absolute position. So if you're just copying and pasting and you're leaving the positions there, you might end up finding it difficult to develop a responsive website. So what I suggest is that unless you need the position, remove anything position, top, bottom, and this. Unless it's a situation where you need to use a position, then now decide which type of position do you want to use. Is it a relative position? Is it an absolute? Is it a fixed? Is it a sticky? Then only then can you use that, and you don't have issue. Then when to use other responsive friendly CSS properties like the mean width and the mean height and some other stuff, or it can also be flex and what grid. So in some instances you will see the width as what adjust normal width, and you know that the normal width it might not be responsive the way you want, but in some instances the max width can be more responsive for you, so it will reduce how you write your responsive code. Then in some instances, when you want a width to grow or a height to grow, you can use the mean or the max. You can use the mean width or the mean height. Then there are some instances where you find that flex might not actually do the job, so you use what? You can use grid. So these are some of these are some of the steps that I can take. Then understand the responsive flow from mobile to tablet, not table please, then and to what? And to desktop. So this is just a basic understanding of what you need to know about wireframe, and remember, we don't use it that much, or we don't have to we don't have to develop it as detailed as the UI designer, but we need to understand what it is and why it is important for us to use them and know about them. So let's go back to this our design. So according to the first step of developing of developing a wireframe, we need to understand the user flow from one page to another. And let me check if there is a wireframe here. So that's the book. So I don't think this one has a wireframe, because if it has, if you zoom in, you either see it by the side there, or they'll create a page for it here. So I don't think this one has. So that means this is a very nice example of one that does not have a wireframe. Then it also does not have the list of styles that you need, like the color family, like the fonts and other stuff, so that it will help you in your SaaS or in your Tailwind or in your Bootstrap. So if you're doing this job and you want it to be maintainable, as you're using each of the colors, so you check a color that you've already added to your color variables, and if you see that color again, then you don't need to add it. But if you use a new color, you need to add it to your color variable. So as you're doing the job, you can be arranging that, or you can take your time to arrange that before you start the job. So whatever method you want who is better. So you see that from here, if the user enters this website www.foniro.com or .anything, it's going to take you to this home page. So from the home page, the user can navigate to shop. Then from the shop, the user can, so if user clicks on any of these projects, it will land on where? On the single product. Then if the user clicks on this cart icon here, so let me zoom a little. So if I scroll to the top, so if the user clicks on this cart icon here, it's going to now open this pop-up here about all the things that the user has added to what? Cart. So the person can remove by crossing it off, or the person can let me see. So if the person clicks on cart or on this checkout or on this comparison, it leads to another what? Page. So let's go to the next one. So you see the product comparison here. So where would the user click before the user will go to this product comparison? So let me use a comment just to demonstrate this. So if I have a multi-line comment here, so I can have the user flow is from, so remember that the first step is what? To understand the user flow from page to page. So if we want to do something like that, I can have from the home page to where? To shop. So you can do this with a box diagram. Then from the shop to the product details. Then for the product details, then the person can move to cart. Then from cart, so I think that's where we are now. So from cart, the person can now move to either comparison or the checkout or cart. So we can add that. So the person can move to either cart or compare or check out. So let's go back to the screen. So if I zoom in now, so now from the cart, the person can move to the comparison page, so that is to compare the products that the person have or has added to cart, or just to better compare all the products that the person has selected. Then the next one is to cart. I will know that. So if the person goes back, so if there is a back button here, so how would the person go back from this page? So the person can click here again to now go to cart. So if the person goes to cart, the person can now arrive at the cart instead of the comparison. So you see the benefit of this navbar always being at the top, so the user will not be confused of how do I go back. Now if this product details were to open without this navbar here being visible, then there should be a back button, so that as the user goes back, it will take the person to the product details page, and the person will have to access this. But because the navbar is always visible, the person will remember that I click here before I came to this place. So if I click it again, it will pop up. Then from that place, the person can also navigate to the checkout. So now from still the navbar, so that is the end of a flow. So now from the navbar, the person, which is like the home, the person can move to where? To the contact. So from home, so from your home page, you can move to the contact by using the nav. So by this we are understanding the user flow. Then from the home page to the about, and the first one was to shop. So I can do that here. So this is the first user flow. Then the other one will be home to about, the home to contact. So is that all we have on? So we have home, then about, yes. But now there's a break here. This block here, we cannot find it, and this is where you might decide to ask the UI designer, just as I mentioned yesterday, or from this previous slide. If you don't understand a user flow, it is very, very nice you ask the product manager or the UI designer, so the person can easily put you through. So from the similarities, wow. Let me just be sure that we are still that the recording is still on. Oh, they have taken the light. Sorry, let me use my inverter so it doesn't go off again. Okay, so let me just check the video recorder. I think we've lost that recording because I can't find it here. Okay, it's here. Okay, it's still recording. Okay, so I'm so sorry about that. My battery just had an unusual drain. Okay, so that is the flow for that. So from what we learned today is, if there's a flow that you cannot understand, it's good you ask the designer by using the comment feature, or you ask the project manager. So if I go back here, so if you notice, based on the common feature that we see from this home to about and this, it then means there was a typo error, there was an error due to omission. The designer forgot to add the blog to the navbar, and perhaps it was a later addition, so the person just added the page and forgot to add it on the navbar. So the flow will be from where? From home, we'll move to where? Blog. So the blog page. Then if you now talk about the functionality, there are so many functionality that you need to add with JavaScript. You see that pop up. So you can do something like this. Talk about. So we can call this the user flow. Then we can add some functionalities. Tab functionalities. So the functionality will include open. So let's open cat, not that, cat pop up. Then we also have the add to cat. Then we also have the remove from cart. Then we also have the checkout. So we also have the checkout. Then, and this checkout has to do with a form. So all these things, they are all functionalities that the user will have. Then depending on the design, there might be some animation. Then just to show you, so if there is sorry, excuse me. So if there is an animation, then in Figma, if it was actually added to the Figma, you can see the animation based on the presentation view of Figma. So I'm going to show you that in a moment. So why it is loading, because with this we are done with the main business of today. So based on this, do you have a question? Is there a concept that you didn't understand fully? So okay, let's listen to Mr. Ediana, please.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody.
Yes, good evening. You're welcome.
You're going to teach us today about that. Is it the atom? Because even when I was watching the video, I don't understand that atom thing that you were in that time.
Yes, exactly. But it is after this part. I'll teach that. So after I just end this part of the class, which is the main business of today, I'm going to teach that. Thank you very much. So Mr. Lazak.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, sir. So mine is pertaining the. I made a mistake while submitting and submitted the wrong link.
Okay, there's the assignment that is submitted.
Yes, I submitted the wrong link.
Oh. Yes. I noticed that, and I'm sorry about that. The window has been closed. I'm sorry about that. There's no because you can't submit again because the listen has been closed. Had it been it was something that maybe like you submitted 2 links, then maybe I would have reviewed the 2 links while I was marking. But since the submission this window has closed, if I accept you now, then it then means there are some other people too that also have their own unfinished too. So, but don't worry about that much. You just focus on the next assignment, because if you notice, the assignment that I'm giving you now is just to strengthen your hand on React and to prepare for the final project. So I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so is there another question? Okay, so if there is an animation in a Figma design and you want to see that, if you zoom in a little, if you zoom out a little, let's see. Okay, so if you start, it's telling me to restart. Okay, I think I've okay. So if you want to see that, please, all you need to do, if you can see my screen clearly, you just click on this on this play button here. It's called the presentation mode. So if you click on this, that is, it's going to open another tab for you, and that way you can understand the user flow still better, because each of the nav link, if it was actually linked by the designer, you're going to see how you can navigate from page to page, and they can also add animations there too. So as soon as it loads, I'm going to show you an example of that. So I'm seeing the hand of Mr. Oyina Kinsley, please. Yes, good evening. You're welcome.
My question is, is it the final assignment?
No. It's not a final assignment. This for Reno or for Nero this assignment is your final assignment, as I explained in the group chat. This is your final assignment. This e-commerce one.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. So I'm seeing the hand of Mr. Aidin Abami. Yes, good evening. You're welcome.
Hello. Yeah, please, there's something I wanted to ask. If you look at this furniture, the one you are showing to us now, the logo, the dark logo, because the last time I think there's a particular one we did last time, so that has a logo. So that to click on that logo, but I couldn't get the logo. Is there a way? How do they input this logo? Or can you show us how the logo was, how they were able to create the logo beside that furniture?
Okay. That is I think if you can see my cursor, I think here that my cursor is right.
No.
Is this logo beside this for Reno now?
Beside the phone, yes, beside their phone.
Okay. So don't worry. I'm going to show you after I finish. After I finish with this part. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so if you click on this play button here, I think that was the one that opened before. If you click on this play button here, you're going to enter the presentation mode. Now this will look like a real website, but it's not. What has happened? Okay, sorry, I'm sorry about that. My network just had an issue, so I believe you can still hear me. Okay, let me network. So I'm sorry about that. So let me. Why do you? I'm sorry. I want to block this person so the person cannot call me again. I don't know why this app you put do not disturb and it will still allow call. Sorry about that. Let me. Share my screen. Okay, so if you open the presentation view like this, if you click on the shop, you will notice it will load the shop as if is a working website. Then Then how do I go back? If you click on the about, so I think if I click on this cart, it will take me to the cart. So it's here, it's working. So for all the flows that have been linked, you are going to see all of them. So if there is an animation here, you are going to see it. So like one design that a designer did well, so you see all the animations and everything, the flows will be there. Or they will show you a video, or maybe like a website that has the animation that they need you to add on the website. So lastly, before I end this section, I want to show us how to get this icon. So if you want to get this icon, it's good you zoom in a little. So if you zoom in like this, you click. So you see where the mouse is. You continue to click until it selects that. So that is just one way. Then if you notice, here is the header. So if you come to this left sidebar here, so if you scroll down, you click on the header, which is this one. So if you click on it, it's going to scroll down. So it's going to open a drop down. So it has opened the drop down. Then we will now enter inside. So you see this rectangle that's there. So you click on it until it opens. Then as I move my cursor and click, you notice it has selected that one. So I'll scroll down again, and I want this group 1 to open. So I'll click, and you see I got this frame now. So if I click on this frame, you see it has not highlighted that frame. So I'll click on here again, and I'll scroll down. Then if I click here, you see I've now selected that icon. So if I move to this my export here and press plus, then press on preview, you see that I have the icon. So it's very good for you to use this left sidebar to do that if you're finding it very difficult. But if you're patient enough, another method now is if you cannot to click here and click, you see it selects that. So I've shown you 2 methods now that you can get that. So it's either you click on this header here and you use this left sidebar to open all the play buttons until you highlight it, or you continue to click on the icon until it selects it. Then by the time you go to this export and preview, just to be sure that it's actually the icon, then you can do that. So that is how we come to the end of this part. So we are going to move to the next part very soon.